this sample is for the button with a thread shank. A piece of muslin here that is 3 3/4 inches wide by about 2.5 inches long. And we're simply just going to fold it and sew our button right in the center of it. Now, I do have to first tell you that some buttons come with an automatic shank on them. And it's this little stud that's in the back of the button. And you'll see that it has a little hole on the back of it. And you sew your thread, you put your thread through there and sew this onto the garment. Same with this button. It's a little button that has a little thread shank. But not all buttons are like that. Some of them are just plain old flat. And when they're flat like this, you have to add a little bit of a thread shank. What that does is it gives a little spacer between the fabric and the button and allows for less tension against the threads. So if the buttons is sewn on so tight to the fabric and you put your fabric, the buttonhole over it, and the fabric's trying to rest in there and there's a lot of tension, sometimes that thread will break. It sometimes will pull your fabric and tear your fabric. So it's best to sew these flat buttons with a thread shank. So sometimes, we're just going to show this button right here. Sometimes buttons have only 2 holes in the center, but we're going to work with the one that has the 4. Some people prefer to sew the button with a crisscross pattern in the center. That's just fine. And you'll notice this one already has a thread shank. It's a little bit of a spacer between the button and the fabric. And we're going to just do the side-by-side, I guess, method. So what I'm going to start with is usually double thread. You can wax it. And you condition it by running your fingers over it and getting rid of the excess. Or you can use Thread Heaven. And again, you see mine is well used. You put your finger in it and you pull the fabric through and condition it. And that kind of helps the thread from breaking so quickly, and it also strengthens it and less tangling. So I'm going to actually use quadruple thread for speed's sake. Now when you start this, you have to have some type of thing to give you a little bit of a spacer. And I am going to use a toothpick. You can use anything. You can even use your thumb. I'll show you what that is. But usually when you're first starting, it's a little bit hard to do that. So I'm going to knot my thread. I'm going to go underneath. You just kind of feel for where the button's at. You just develop a coordination for it, I guess. And I haven't found my little hole yet. Because you don't want to be turning back and forth the whole time you're sewing a button. Okay, so I'm going to get started by doing the first stitch, but I'm not going to pull it tight. Now, if you were doing this with your thumb, you would just kind of keep your thumb under the button like this and sew and give it extra thread. But like I said, when you're first starting, it's a little bit tricky. So I'm just going to use a toothpick, and I'm going to insert the toothpick there. And I'm going to continue to sew the button with the toothpick in it. And again, I'm using quadruple thread so I can do this quickly. Then I'm going to move over to the other set of buttons. And like I said, I'm doing the side-by-side thing. And I'm going to do that. Okay. Now, when I bring this thread up, I'm actually going to remove my toothpick now. See, there's a little give there. So when I bring my thread up, I'm going to bring it up in the middle of the button underneath and the fabric. And then I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to wrap it around there about, I don't know, 5-6 times, however many times you think you need. And you'll see us begin to create a spacer. And then I bring my, in between there, I bring my needle back underneath onto the back side and I knot off. And there we go. We got a button with the thread shank. And if you If I lift it back, you can actually see the little bit of space that it created to give ease for the other layer. And that's it, a button with a thread shank.